So it is the second week that more than 1 million Americans may have to go without buying groceries, heating their home, or paying the rent. And for many of them who have been receiving unemployment checks, that's how they would pay for those necessities. The U.S. Senate is bringing up a vote to extend those benefits tomorrow. Majority Leader Harry Reid says he's confident it will pass the Senate, but it's unclear what could happen once it makes it to the House, if it makes it to the House. President Obama's economic director, Gene Sperling, says it is a crucial issue.
People have to remember that long-term, that emergency unemployment benefits only go to people who are actively looking for a job. For a lot of people, that keeps them, encourages them to keep looking when they're getting discouraged. And I have to point out that tomorrow is actually the day that 1.3 million Americans will go to their mailbox and find that check missing.
Joining us now are two House members, Democrat Jerry Nadler of New York. He is for extending the benefits, and Republican Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. She is against the extension. Good to see both of you, and Happy New Year. However, it's not a Happy New Year for a lot of folks who are counting on those checks. So, Congresswoman Blackburn, let me begin with you. Why wouldn't you want to extend unemployment benefits?
You know, Fred, what we would love to see happen is for the president and Mr. Sperling to say, let's look at what is at the root of this problem. Why has the Obama economy been so unkind to American workers over the past 5 years? And what can we do right now to create the environment for jobs growth to take place? And as I am talking to employees and employers and to individuals that are looking for work, repeatedly I hear that the uncertainty that is coming from Washington, what is happening with some of the new 40,000 regulations, 40,000 pages of regulations that are coming out, people want to see a little bit more certainty, a little bit less government overreach, and they would like to have Washington out of the way and get back to creating jobs and getting back to work.
But then what do you say directly to the person who is going to be going into their mailbox looking for a check? It's not going to be there. They don't want to hear about the politics behind what is or isn't happening with job creation. They want to know, how do I and what can I count on to try and pay that rent, to try and put food on the table, to try to keep the heat going in these near freezing and sub-zero temperatures. What do you say to that person?
You're exactly right. And
now.
What we need, what you need to be doing right now is in Washington, the policies need to be, what do we do to make it a priority to help individuals get back to work so they are in charge of that paycheck and they have a job that they like. I was talking to a guy last week and he said, I'm looking forward to going back to work, getting that job, getting there every day. And he said, and then I want to be complaining about how hard I'm working and looking forward to having a day off every once in a while. And Fred, people want to be productive. And what we need to do is get government out of the way, figure out what has not been working in this economy, help people get back to work.
Okay, so Congressman Nadler, you know, an argument that many who are against the extension have said is they said, you know, continuing to extend benefits really means that it's removing the incentive for people to go to work. But you heard from, you know, Gene Sperling, who said you can't get the benefits unless you prove that you are actively looking for work. But for those who are arguing against this, who say it's simply too costly, that this nation can't afford to continue to pay for this by the tune of, you know, $26 million, what do you say to them?
Well, first of all, notice that Congresswoman Blackburn refused to answer your question. She gave a long speech about a Republican take on economic policy, which I totally disagree with. I think that the way to get the economy moving again, frankly, is to spend money on infrastructure, even if you have to borrow that money, to spend money on infrastructure, put people to work, building highways, bridges, roads, broadband, etc., give states money to hire teachers and cops and firefighters and so forth, and pay people unemployment insurance. Now, to get unemployment insurance, you have to have been working for years. Then you have to have been laid off, and then you have to be still actively working. And for those who say that if you give people unemployment insurance for more than 26 weeks, they don't look for work, it's less of an incentive, there's absolutely zero evidence for that. And the fact of the matter is, in an economy in which there are 3 applicants for every single job, even if it were true, it would simply mean that that someone discouraged and not getting an unemployment check if they worked harder to get a job, which is ridiculous. But if they did and they got the job, someone else wouldn't get the job because there's a limited supply of jobs. There are 3 applicants for every job. There is no evidence for that whatsoever. In every previous recovery from a recession, we have extended on a bipartisan basis unemployment insurance until the unemployment rate got down to a more reasonable level so people had a chance to find jobs. The second thing is, when people get unemployment insurance, they spend money. They spend every nickel of it. They spend it to buy food. They spend it on the rent. They spend it, and other people are hired to make the food, to market it, to spend it, etc. It helps the economy.
If I can say
and that's why the congressional budget office says that this cessation will kill 200,000 jobs.
Okay, so is it, in your view, Congresswoman, more costly not to extend the benefits than it is to extend them, as he is talking about the ripple effect here?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that Jerry says it's a partisan issue. I would direct you to some of the writings of Alan Kruger, who was the former Council of Economic Advisors chair, who has talked about the negative effects of the long-term unemployment insurance. And I think you have to take that into effect and look at that. That's why you need to have the president and Gene Sperling say, okay, how do we address this long-term systemic problem? Over the past 5 years, we've spent $520 billion on unemployment insurance and the collective benefits, and this is not working. We have people that are hurting, that are saying we want to go back to work. So therefore, some of the policies that are in effect right now are having a negative effect.
Well,
that's where we need leadership. We've got 2.6% of the nation's 7.3% unemployment that are the long-term unemployed.
All right, we'll have to leave it there.
So let's focus on solving this problem.
We certainly have to follow policies to get people back to work, but while they're out of work, we can't let them starve, and we can't starve the economy by not giving them unemployment insurance.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. Congressman Jerry Nadler, Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, thank you so much. Harry Reid saying today that he believes he has a 60 votes in order to get this passed in the Senate, but it looks like the work in the House, this might kind of, symbolize how difficult it just might be to get through the House. Thanks so much to both of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, dangerously cold weather. Well, it's moving across